because we have a quorum and the time has come. So we will start out by asking the members who are not physically present to be announced so that we can proceed. I'll just call your name and you can just say present. Jude Newman,
Present.
Ellen Cohn,
Present.
Bob Rose.
Present.
Are there any other members who are up? And I think that is all the board members who are present. And here's Rosie. Excellent. Okay, the agenda shows that we have two abatement hearings. I assume that the agenda is approved. And before we go to the abatement hearings, we have something listed as board member comment.
I don't know what Sarah means by that.
Okay,
That's
well,
probably where she thought there would be remote introductions.
okay, well, there we go. Let's just proceed. I hope we can get done expeditiously. I told the clerk that I have another meeting at 7:30, and so I'm hoping that I can get out of here and move to the next one and be on time. So, Evan Richards, you're up first.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. Would you start by raising your right hand? Do you solemnly affirm
Yes.
that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, so why don't you,
Can't be described remotely.
and the chair recognizes Kip Cheney as another remote board member. Welcome, Kip. So, Evan, you want to give us a brief statement of what your current situation is?
Yeah, I had a house fire December 11th, 2023. I requested an abatement in 2024. The board approved it. It was a few $100s short of my total taxes for the year, but that's kind of a minor detail. In October, before that abatement was approved, Marty was signaled to come assess my home. He agreed it was uninhabitable, and for some reason, the assessed value was never updated, and I didn't know how that process worked, but Marty later clarified for me that unfortunately it never got updated, and it got locked in when April came around. So I was abated for 2024, so it wasn't too big of a deal since I, got refunded mostly everything I paid. But then in 2025, this came into play because I was again trying to get an abatement. What had happened is during 2024, my insurance got into a disagreement with Service Master, who is a cleanup professional that they hired, and they refused to pay Service Master for a period of 6 months. And so Service Master stopped working on my house. And I had nothing I could do because obviously the insurance was releasing the funds to pay them that I did not have. And so it took about until 2025 for them to continue work. So there was about a year lost simply due to mismanagement of the claim by the insurance company. I contacted the Department of Financial Regulation. I worked with Gregory Gray. They are unable to adjudicate. So, they can't give a statement one way or the other. All they can do is pressure the insurance company, and this is all handled privately. There were several other matters that weren't getting addressed We weren't being given additional living expenses to afford to live places while our home is under repair. So the state did a good job of helping protect those rights. But where the state fell short is they're unable to adjudicate. And when the insurance company realized that the state was pursuing them, they took it legal. As soon as it becomes a legal matter, the state is no longer able to be involved. What the insurance company did is called an appraisal. They compelled appraisal, which meant that I was no longer able to negotiate with them to try to settle the claim. It had to be settled by an independent third party. That third party gave a statement, my appraiser, Michael Caparel, and he gave multiple statements to the board. You should find it. Everyone should agree that it was included in my submission. If you don't have a copy of it, please let me know. That was included when I emailed Sarah. It should be the second or third page. And Michael Caparel is a licensed public adjuster in the state of Vermont. He's currently one of 2 licensed public adjusters, and he's been in this industry for, I think, 30 some odd years. And he gave a full account on the state of my appraisal, even though it was compelled in, I believe, late April of 2025. It did not resolve until over 6 months later, some point in November. It took that long. And he gave a full statement about how this was completely out of my control. When it's in appraisal, there's really nothing I can do. There's a slim possibility for me to sue the umpire, but then that would have just delayed this even further, because then it would have had to go through court. So basically, I had nothing I could do. The house was not being worked on because Service Master was not getting paid because the funds were being tied up in the appraisal. So my home remained uninhabitable. Another really unfortunate fact is now that this was essentially all of 2025, that no progress was being made in my home, there is a statute of limitation of 2 years. So the appraisal completed in November of 2025. I finally received the final funds to pay Service Master and to rehabilitate my home and reconstruct it. It's still without a heating system. It's still without insulation. It's still without drywall. And it's still without, obviously, appliances to live with. So it's still uninhabitable to this day. And by the time I got the checks, there was, this is the last thing I'll say. I'm almost done. There was less than 3 weeks left for the claim to finalize, meaning I had to completely rebuild my home within, find a contractor, find multiple contractors within 3 weeks. And this is a estimated 9-month project in order to recover recoverable depreciation. So effectively, this is an impossible claim because there's no way to rebuild. There's no way to collect on the full amount that I would have collected if this was done in a timely manner and a fair manner. And so I'm in a situation now where I cannot recoup the amount to rebuild my home. I'm stuck with what I have, and I'm just now getting started. And
Okay.
so I'm asking the board.
I'm going to jump in and interrupt you here for a couple of questions. Is it your statement that at this point your home is still uninhabitable? And
Yes.
do you have a timeline for when it will become inhabitable?
I do not currently have a timeline.
Or an estimate?
The estimate I've been told is 9 months for a contractor to complete this.
From now?
That was according to the appraisal. So the umpire gives a final statement, and he put in there a 9 month estimated completion time. That was based on his assessment.
And is that 9 months from now or 9 months from some date in the future?
9 months from now, because absolutely no reconstruction took place, only destruction took place.
Great. Board members, any other, Rosie?
So I have a question about the statutory criteria for this. So I think we've had this discussion before that the reason you selected for the abatement is taxes or charges upon real or personal property lost or destroyed during the tax year. And this was destroyed in 2023. I think we've had some discomfort in the past about using this in that situation, you know, understanding that it's still uninhabitable and obviously, you know, understanding your situation. What I'm wondering about, you mentioned that you had a conversation with Marty about reevaluating the value given the situation. What is the status of that and why didn't that happen? Did it happen this year to adjust the value down? Given that on April 1st, it sounds like it was uninhabitable.
You want me to answer that?
Yeah.
I guess for both of you, or
Let's have Marty answer.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, let me just say too that, you know, this could be completely obviated, because if the board approves an abatement, then there's no need to adjust the value. The home should return to its value within 2026, and it should not be a concern. If the
Thank you.
board decides not to abate,
Evan, suspend for a
Yep.
moment. Marty, can you tell us what
Sure.
kept happening with the assessment?
Yep, so I did visit the property in October. 2024. I was there October of 2024. When I walked into the property, there was still heat, there was still sheetrock. There were some cutouts where they were checking the power lines. So when I was there, there was no need for any kind of a value adjustment because it was still habitable at the time. There was no smell of smoke. The damage that's there now happened after April 1st, so it didn't get reflected on the current grand list. For one, because it happened after, but also because there's never been any permits pulled on the work that's done on this property, so my office was never notified that there was any work being done there. The majority of it was done after April 1st. So that's why there was no adjustment to the value of the property. And as far as the value goes, the house just came on the market December 10th for $350, which is right at assessed value. So you know, we'd have to talk about adjusting the value for the next coming grand list.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions from Rosie? Keep going.
So I just want to clarify, then, Evan, it sounds like from what Marty just said, you have put the house on the market at that assessed value?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. So I have no way of recovering recoverable depreciation. I have affected, you know, like I was saying, it's impossible to rebuild this home and collect any further. And so I'm in a situation now where if I can't get a reasonable outlook for rebuild, selling is basically the only logical thing to do at this point.
Council members, board members, any other? Yeah, Ron.
So Evan, what did you mean when you said it would be habitable in 9 months if you're selling?
That is the umpire's statement. So the umpire wrote a 1-page detailing his assessment and the assessed reconstruction effort, including costs and timeline. And so he delivered that written report, and it said 9 months, and that seems reasonable. That's what I was anticipating if this had gotten the green light from the insurance when it needed to, you know, back in 2024.
Okay. Board members, any other questions? Ron or Bob, I think you had a question. Am I right?
Bob Gross here. I have a question. Was there a settlement offered at any point in time during this, from 2023 to the recent settlement? And if the house is on the market now for 350, does that mean the owner is receiving some settlement funds in addition to what they could possibly sell the house for?
So the settlement that was offered by the insurance was discrepant by over 100,000. That's why the appraisal was compelled. The settlement funds I recently received they will be counting against any sale of the home. Does that answer your question?
What do you mean counted against the sale of the home? Will you?
Well, I'm not a professional accountant, but I'm trying to answer your question, which is what I think you're saying is that the funds received essentially apply towards the sale of the home from a tax perspective. So correct me if I'm wrong. There's something like a 500,000.
I'm not talking tax perspective. I'm just asking,
okay.
If you received an offer from the company years ago, didn't accept it, now you're selling the house for maybe 350. That's what you're asking. How much additional money has the insurance company given you to repair the house?
I don't know how, if that's a necessary thing to disclose. It kind of opens a can of worms about the current market, what I've been quoted to rebuild this home, and so I did not attain the amount that I was quoted to rebuild this home.
Well, this is an abatement hearing, and we're trying to decide first to go against the rule that says during the year of the fire, and we need all the information we can. If we're a city and we're trying to decide what goes for an abatement, I think we should know, if everybody that can't settle with their insurance company wants to come to the city of Montpelier for relief, I see that as an issue.
So the number one blocker of this home becoming habitable again was the funds not being issued to Service Master, and the appraisal stalled that until November. So what you're suggesting, could I have taken the funds and tried to get somewhere, halfway there, maybe get a heating system in there, maybe get some drywall up? The problem is Service Master could not finish the work. I needed to first fully deconstruct the home and then be able to reconstruct. And so if I were to pay Service Master myself, that's what it would have taken. And so, it's a question of how does, the city and how does the state hold a homeowner accountable when their home insurance is supposed to be covering these costs? Do we just lean on the homeowner? And that to me does not seem fair. I think it was completely reasonable that I waited for the appraisal to finish. And like I said, it's out of my control. At any point, I could have gone and purchased a loan from a bank. Yes, there's always a way, and I would have ended myself up in an even deeper hole. So what I'm saying is that the home needed to be cleaned and fully deconstructed, which was fully being managed by Service Master, who was not getting paid by my insurance, and I was relying on the appraisal process to get that moving as quickly as possible, and it took until November. So now, November 2025, I have the funds. I can rebuild. I can try to get halfway there, but there's no way to go back in time. There's still from January until November of 2025 that home was uninhabitable in an appraisal process that was indefinitely stalling Service Master.
Thank you. Rosie, then Ron, and then Carrie.
So Evan, do you disagree with anything that Marty said about the timeline and when things were inhabitable and when the work happened, that permit?
I mean, Marty's observations from October 2024, that was a long time ago. I'll try to comment. I didn't hear him say anything about habitability. If he felt the home was uninhabitable, I didn't hear him say that.
No, I think he didn't.
Yeah, so because Marty said it was uninhabitable, so I don't think we disagree. The home is still uninhabitable. If anybody feels the home is habitable, I would disagree with that.
Oh my God, good. Just like that. Ask questions in the dark.
Yeah.
So I think our confusion is that Marty gave testimony that in October of 2024, when he visited the home, he felt that there was heat and it was basically habitable, that there was some sheetrock missing, but other than that, there weren't noticeable issues.
That is correct.
Okay,
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
It's,
so I'm asking Evan if you disagree with it.
Right. So Marty wrote an email in October 2024 after visiting the property. My understanding was I received an abatement because the home was uninhabitable. So why would I have received a 2024 abatement if Marty didn't believe the home was uninhabitable?
The inhabitability was not a specific decision to grant the abatement. It was just the overall situation and the damage that was done.
Okay.
And it was, but
Is this Marty speaking?
habitable was not the specific.
That was John Clerk,
Yeah.
the city clerk speaking.
Okay. Okay, so Marty is stating that he felt in October 2024 the home was habitable. Is that correct?
okay.
He did say
Okay.
that.
Water.
Marty, it occurred to me, I didn't swear you in.
Oh,
Do you solemnly affirm, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury, that the testimony you're about to give today, including the testimony you've already given tonight, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Ron?
So I'm just asking for clarification from the board. So the point was made about an abatement during the tax year of damage being further. So what happens when the damage is not remediated in the house, in this situation or any situation? Where in the next tax year, the house still isn't being lived in, still doesn't have the same market value that if it had been repaired.
I think the value would be updated April 1st. And Marty's saying that as of April 1st, he doesn't think that the value. He's not saying that there was evidence that the value was different on April 1st.
Right, so the letters from Paul Davis and Ken Williams from Paul Davis says that they were there in June, then recommended more demo in June of 25. Service Master finished up on April 23rd of 2025. So the current condition of the property will be reflected on next year's grand list. Because as of April 1st, it was still the same as October of last year. And like I said, it's kind of hard to keep track of these things when the permits aren't pulled as they're supposed to be, because then my office isn't, I didn't know there was a fire until he came to an abatement. I had no idea. So it's a little hard to keep up with exactly what's happening when the permits aren't being pulled too.
So the fire
Keep
was
going,
in
Ron.
October of 23,
December,
December of 23.
yes.
And as of April, I'm just trying to get the dates in my head. In April of 20.
August of 24, August 29th of 24, we had an abatement hearing. And abatement was granted for the original fire. October, I went to the property and didn't feel there was a significant amount enough damage to adjust the value. And then service master was in April of 25. And then June of 2025, they recommended to strip it down to where it is now. Because when I was there, and like Evan said, in the wintertime, it's harder to smell the smoke. When I was there in October, I didn't smell it. Somebody from probably Paul Davis recommended to strip the rest of it out. So now there is there's minimal sheetrock, no kitchen. There's no insulation. The second floor is gutted.
This was gutted by the repair.
Yes, so this is a second, well, I don't know how you classify if it's still part of the same original fire or if this is new damage. So my feeling is it should be reflected in the assessment as of April 1st next year. So I mean, I don't know how you differentiate if it's still, I mean, I guess it is still part of the original fire. But when I was there,
Because it's part of the remediation process. Carrie,
Okay. Are we done with the
questioning of the,
the questioning of the?
if there are other board
Is that
members who have
questions?
questions for the
Yeah.
appellant,
Well, I
Donna.
had two questions, and one was, which relates to Evan, the insurance reimbursement amount. We get a lot of financial. To me, I feel we should know that. Is that, am I wrong?
I think that's a valid point, and go ahead.
Okay, so
Carrie.
so I was gonna say,
Yeah.
so I think we have a pretty clear. A pretty clear situation laid out for us with statute and with what's happened here. So the statute says that we can abate on the basis of damage done in the tax year. And we did that already from when the fire first happened. And then if the property doesn't get fixed and it remains uninhabitable or it remains damaged, then the appropriate way to address that is with the assessment, with saying that, okay, the house's value is now so much lower because no one can live in it because it still smells of smoke because of whatever is happening. So the value needs to be adjusted. So we've kind of worked with that process. It hasn't satisfied the applicant, it sounds like, but I think the city has done everything it's supposed to do. And so I don't feel like we, as the Board of Abatement, really have a lot of power here. We abated the taxes for the damage during the tax year that had happened. I don't think there's any grounds for us to abate at this point. And so I don't think it's very relevant, it's particular whether how much the insurance was. I think it's interesting that the house is currently under contract for $350,000, which is more than what it's assessed at. That's what the internet says, it's under contract.
Can I,
So-
is it okay if I speak?
No, it's not.
No,
So I don't think that we can abate at this point. So I would move that we deny this abatement request.
is there a second? Bob Gross, you're seconding, I think.
I second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Although, go ahead, Ron.
So, to Gary's point, I don't disagree with anything you said, I'm just understanding the process. So, what if, because of time of visit and what have you, we simply made an error? Where does that come in?
That's,
In your analysis?
well,
That's a different reason.
that's a different, exactly,
Which
yeah.
the applicant is not arguing. So there is a reason that we can grant an abatement, which is taxes in which there is a manifest error or mistake of the listers. If Marty had made some mistake in the valuation, which I think sounds like everybody's sort of in agreement on when things happened, and there's not anybody contesting that. But if that had happened, then we would, the applicant could request an abatement on that grounds. But
Because in
he's
this
not.
instance, Marty simply didn't know because he hadn't been informed. Right? I mean, permits weren't pulled, he wasn't aware that the
Well, it sounds like
livability of the
Marty
property had
first, none of the
degraded.
demo had happened, so it
But
wasn't
the
even.
value's already down. In fact, it's lower than what is on the market, what is under contract for, so he did do an adjustment.
Okay.
Are we ready to vote, or anyone else have anything to say?
I'd have something to say. Is that okay?
Well, if you can keep it to 60 seconds, yes.
Okay. Someone asked about the heating system. There was no primary heating system. We had temporary heaters. The entire furnace caught on fire. The entire HVAC system was gutted when Marty was in my home. We had a heat pump on the first floor that was contaminated. We have an industrial hygienist who confirmed it needed to be replaced, so it was not running any further in 2025. Also, I hear that you feel that this is invalid for abatement. I just want to be clear that even despite there being some form of, changes that occurred between when Marty was there, it's because smoke damage is extremely elusive. And it took an industrial hygienist to analyze it and to communicate with the insurance company. So the drywall that was up, that got ripped out, all of that was contaminated. It may have appeared constructed, but it was not safe for living in.
Thank you.
And so the final form it's in now.
Sure. I think you've made that point. Folks, are we ready to vote? The motion is to deny the abatement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? One opposed. Okay.
Who's opposed?
Page.
So we'll need to.
Okay, so we need to do a roll call. Okay, we'll do a roll call, starting with the people online. Jude?
I'd like to abstain because I'm a neighbor.
Okay. Bob?
Aye.
Helen?
Aye.
Kim? Harry?
Oh, aye, sorry.
Sal?
Aye.
Are you on? Okay. Elaine?
Aye.
Rosie?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye. I don't know which Bob you were asking.
I already got you, Bob. Sorry if I didn't. Donna? Paige? Marty?
Abstain.
Okay. Okay, the motion carries. The abatement is denied. Thank you, Mr. Richards, and good luck.
How do I reapply for abatement?
So I've spoken to the attorney about this, and the attorney says we don't need to keep hearing repeated redundant hearings. Says there is, at some point, no is no. I was hoping if we had some time to really discuss that, because it might be nice to have something on the, some sort of motion in the record, but we may not have time for that today. But that is what the attorney said. We don't need to keep hearing the same request over and over again, that we can say no is no.
What about the faulty assessment?
Excuse me for just a moment.
Sir?
And the petitioner obviously has the option of taking us to court, basically.
Okay, thank you.
So what about the faulty assessment? How do I correct the faulty assessment?
That would be the Board of Civil Authority.
Sir, your hearing is concluded.
I know, I'm just trying to understand my rights. How do I get the faulty assessment corrected? Marty told me that would be some kind of board hearing, but it's unclear how I get that corrected.
Sir, your hearing is concluded, and we don't have anything more for you at this point. If you want to contact either Marty or the clerk or anybody else outside of this hearing, you're welcome to do that. But your hearing.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, next up we have Ariana Anaya. I see you here on the Zoom. Thank you for joining us. Would you raise your right hand? You solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Why don't you tell us what your situation is?
So I'm quite new to all of this, so apologies if I get anything wrong, but I want to say that we're requesting an abatement connected to the first two, potentially to the first two items. Specifically and most recently, my partner has been unemployed since January of this year, nearly a whole year. I'm happy to say he did recently get kind of a temporary or what could be a longer term position with VT Digger. But at the moment, that's only guaranteed for 3 months. We've both been, I lost my job in July, and we've both been very actively searching for work. We're both in education, and I do health and medical advocacy. These are very hard positions to get hired in the current political climate. There's not a lot of growth in those sectors, as I'm sure you can imagine. So this entire year, we've been paying taxes out of our savings, which has been quite a hardship, frankly. The other piece I wanted to bring up is that when we bought the house in 2023, seemingly just in time for the flood to take out the basement and the appliances and all that drama. Although having said that, I must say what a brilliant and amazing thing it was to live in this city during that difficult time and to see how people come together up here. But without knowing exactly the process in place, we weren't aware that for 2024, we were paying property taxes on, I want to say the value that, I want to say what the home was listed for, which I want to say was $257,000 versus our actual purchase, $357 versus the actual purchase price, which was $325. So that's why I wanted to call attention. And I will also say that this was, I didn't know the process. So I didn't know that was something we would kind of want to come back to y'all with. And Marty was so wonderful when that came up, and, very, very swiftly was able to assess and get it down to the purchase price, which had that not happened and we'd been unemployed this whole year, it would have been dramatically awful. So that already made such a difference. And I appreciate that speed. What else? What am I missing? So what I have also just had felt like a very good interview for which I'm a finalist. And if that in fact goes through, then the abatement will be unnecessary. But I want to say that I'm a little leery of that because I've been the next candidate a couple of times already. And it is, kind of devastating for that to keep happening. But I recognize I'm not the only person in that situation. And it's sort of this looming unknown of taxes going up and the high potential that we could both be unemployed for yet again an entire year. So being locked in to this rate would be a hardship. And so that kind of forms the basis for this abatement request.
So let me ask you one or two questions, and other board members may have more. I understand from your testimony that you've made all your payments so far by taking money out of savings. But so are you requesting that we abate the payment that will come due in February and possibly May, or what exactly is the request?
I would say that would be such a load off if it was simply that first payment. And again, if I land this job, I would certainly be back in touch and say, like, no, we can do it. Not knowing, of course, where that will end up makes me think, potentially the first two payments of that, the first 2 quarters would make a huge difference. And again, I feel certain we will have jobs again. The timeline has just been rather sticky.
Okay, Rosie.
So I had followed up with Sarah and John ahead of this, just to check that you had been provided with the form that we typically ask folks to fill out when they make a request based on an ability to pay. So typically we ask folks to provide quite a bit of financial information about current income and current expenses. And we're really, to be frank, looking for situations in which, it's between paying for really essential items like food or healthcare and making this payment. So I, one, want to confirm that you received that, and two, ask you if you did receive that form, why you didn't fill it out. because it is information that we need to be able to make this decision fairly.
I have a pile of paperwork of all I've received connected to this issue via mail. In it, I do not have such a financial declaration. Now, whether I don't want to say that's because it wasn't sent, but I missed it if indeed it was mailed to us.
Sarah said it would have been over email.
It would have been via email.
No, it's an extra one that we decided on, but you.
This doesn't even have normal setting.
Doesn't have his old.
This is the form.
So,
But the additional information, the page that asks for that additional information, I asked Sarah about it. She said that you had sent it.
Email?
Yeah, that's my understanding. She doesn't do anything by snail mail.
I will certainly take a look in my email. I don't think I received it. I also wonder now if it was emailed to my partner. It was a bit ago, but
so, yeah, Donna.
Mine's sort of a timing question. If indeed the request is for the February to be abated, what would be the latest that could be requested?
Anytime, you could request it 10 years from now and ask for it retroactively.
So,
But we
right,
could, as a practical matter, we could suspend this hearing until sometime in late January or early February, get a better sense of what their financial situation is,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
for the due date, right? If they-
No, it doesn't, because
If we don't want it to be on their credit, so.
well, if they don't pay, then we choose to abate later, we would abate both the fees and the payment.
That's-
However, they're running the risk that.
I think timing is really important to read on this case. We should, give us time to get the other information. Yeah, other information and see what life gives us.
Is it likely we'll meet sometime in January?
It just depends if we have, I mean, we will,
Yeah, then he-
if we have this to hear, we can set something up in January.
Well, I think what Donna's suggesting makes sense. The applicant's trying to work with us and there's a question of a missing form. And we have time. So let's
Yeah.
not make a decision if we don't know.
okay.
I do want to just advise the applicant, though, that that is our typical standard, and so, in the event that you are able to make the payments, even if it's somewhat of a hardship, using savings and other resources, that's not typically something that we've granted in the past, so just providing that information.
So, Ariana, I think that's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna take action on the request now. Hopefully, you both have employment and you don't have to be back in this situation, but you've got the form to fill out that you can provide to us. We'll look for a hearing date probably towards the end of January, and we'll take that on that run.
In case she can't find it
Mhm.
and she emails John's office, what's the name of the form she should specifically ask about?
Oh, just the income details. Doesn't have a.
So
name
some sort of
per se,
financial
It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just sent
I
it.
know, but she, in case she can't.
I'll ask her to for sure.
Okay, are we set?
Do we have to
Anybody-
vote on that, or we just do
I
it?
think we can just do it. We just aren't taking action. Right, we're not taking, there's no motion before us, we'll take it up another,
Any objections, unanimous resent,
yeah,
postponing.
okay, so. I hope you're doing better a month from now, and if not, we'll arrange to see you back. Thank you.
thank you so much. I have one question. If
Uh-huh.
if all goes okay and we're employed, do I need to let somebody know or just I'll vanish quietly into the night?
You should let us know.
Yeah, you should let Sarah know.
I'll email Sarah then. Okay.
That way we just wouldn't have the meeting.
Thank you guys so much. I apologize for not being there in person, but
Quite all right. Thank you for joining us. And I think we can say we are adjourned as of
I just make a comment that has nothing to do with any of these cases.
okay.
I was watching video of a meeting regarding the property that I jumped in on the visitation, part of the assessment. And people that have their back to the camera are inaudible. So people could turn sideways.
It should be picking up here.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
We have the benefit of the camera.
Yeah, they need to get closer
Were
here,
they not? Okay,
because if they turn to face the camera, they'll go farther from here.
okay, all right, it just,
No, it's
we're
very
a
hard.
comment that some people have a really, like, some people just don't carry.
I
Great.
guess, yeah, what it is.
That's a great
So,
point.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you for the sound person, because I heard everything.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then you're with
As
the
I said, well, I wondered, but I didn't know, yeah, because the
speakers.
people's voices were coming from different places,
Yeah.
which I couldn't figure out.
Okay, folks, it is 7:16 and we are adjourned. Thank you all.
No.
Look, look.